What's going on, guys? Back again with 1428 Gaming for the first time in a long time with something a little different. And by a little different, I mean an incredibly different game from anything we've streamed before. Pro Strategy Football, this is the 2022 version, the most updated version. Maybe there's a chance a few of you are familiar with it, or a bunch of you. If you're finding the video, you're probably at least halfway familiar, or at least maybe you're just a football fan and happen to have come across it. Basically, not even, I was going to say a football simulation, but it's not even just a simulation because you can actually take control of just a single team and actually coach them through the games. But for our purposes here, it's going to be a football simulation. Basically, what we've gone ahead and done, and am going to be bringing you over a series of videos here in the coming weeks. And first off, before I even get into the bracket, a shout out to, and they don't have a name. I went to look to see if they had a name. They might have a name on Steam that I didn't pick up, but the guys that put out endless amounts of mods for this game, because it does start as a fantasy world of with real teams but fantasy players type ideas, not actual players, but somebody has gone through and taken the time to basically mod out every single NFL season, as well as some CFL, the XFL, all kinds of stuff. You can get basically anything you want. What we're using is actually not a single NFL season, but what I believe they used either an ESPN or an NFL. I think it was an NFL.com or maybe an NFL Network project where they ranked the top 100 teams ever. And they created a mod with those 100 teams in them. What I originally was going to do is we were going to go through an entire season, sim out an entire season with all 100 of those teams, and see who made it into this tournament and play it out. But after thinking about it, it goes all the way back to the 1950s, and while a few of you might come in and be familiar, I found myself, when I was playing around with it, skipping some of those games just because I'm not familiar with. If it's not Bart Starr, I don't know anybody from those times. So we're going to keep it a little more modern. If you follow us on Twitter, you've already seen the bracket set up. There's no one universal way to seed this thing. That's what I figured. There's no way to seed these teams and have everybody who might see this bracket or see one of these videos agree with where we placed everybody. What I did was used Pro Football Reference, went back, took a look at the regular season records for all 32, took a look at how they finished the season. Most of these teams you'll find ended up winning the Super Bowl. That's why they're some of the best teams of all time. But a few did not. We've got the 2007 Patriots that could have gone 19-0 on here. We've got a couple of teams that lost in the Super Bowl. We've even got the 98 Vikings, which were one of the greatest offenses ever and didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. So it's a bit more modern than maybe if you were just going to try to pick the top 32 of all time. But we used records, we used where they landed, we used point differential, a couple other statistics that Pro Football Reference has kind of put together and uses to measure strength of schedule, included with the offensive and defensive performance and all that, and basically ranked them out. Seeded them 1 to 32, and this is where we landed. So there's a lot going on here. This, if you really want to dive into it and take a look at who you might be picking to come out of this thing, you can find it at 1428 Gaming on Twitter. That's already been posted and shared up there. You guys can give your feedback on why your favorite team's not in the right spot and should have been seeded number 1 and all that fun stuff. But it leads to quite some interesting matchups. And the first one we're going to do, I think, is really kind of fun. I figure we're going to hold off the chances at the biggest upsets for a little later, and we're going to start down the bottom here with the 2016 New England Patriots versus last year's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously entertaining in the sense that it's Tom Brady versus Tom Brady right off the bat, which as a fan of both teams makes me kind of laugh. Um, One thing I really like about this is this little feature here, where we can run this. It's going to run this game 1,000 times, and if anybody other than myself does any type of sports betting, you'll never uh, run from the idea of trying to create an over/under or a point spread. So, 1,000 simulation says that New England's a pretty heavy favorite here. They're winning over 70% of the time. Spreads only New England by 4. It looks like the defenses are expected to dominate a little bit with an over/under of 39. But taking a look at this, if you're watching the video, let me know in the comments what you think of the game running this out. Do you think that Tampa Bay should be a little more even with New England here? Do you think this game's going to blow the over/under out of the water? Because you've certainly got Brady on both sides. You've certainly got offensive firepower on both sides. But obviously that Tampa Bay team won the Super Bowl based on the back of the defense for the most part there. So let me know what you think about this. If you think that the Bucks are going to pull the upset or what have you, throw it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I think YouTube will give me the ability to see whether or not you threw it in now or at the end when you know the answer. So we're going to go ahead and run it. We'll watch these all live. You can see here quick, they give you a little rundown of it. So see, they don't love the Tampa offense here. They really love the defense, and the special teams are always kind of meh. But you know the Pats have an overwhelming offensive advantage, which is kind of where we're landing here. So I'm not going to. Anybody knows me knows I'll feel too silly doing any type of trying to be Al Michaels or John Madden here and do a full play-by-play commentary. We'll hit all the high points here, and we'll kind of talk through this thing as it goes. And I'm really excited about this idea. I'm hoping that there's some interest in this idea as we run through this tournament. Between here and Twitter, I feel like there could be a lot of good banter and a lot of good conversation and have some fun with this thing. So, but here, if you're not a Tom Brady fan, this one, you may not love this one because you're going to get inundated with Tom Brady as he nails Edelman early for a first down. You will see a little bit of odd in this game. Oh man, just tearing up the secondary. You'll see some odd things in this game where they may run with the fullback a lot more often than you'd see an NFL team do. And when we get into it, but it is nice that when we get into teams like the 72 Dolphins and the 85 Bears, that obviously we're playing a completely different game of football back then. They're still, because of the way the ratings and everything are done in this game, it puts them on an even playing field. It's not as if those guys are all going to be, 2 steps slower than everybody just because it's 20 years prior. So it puts it on a nice even playing field where they can just realistically kind of run these games and see what happens, as the Patriots are just driving right down the field here, like Garrett Blunt. And it's fun to go back in these now too with the horse start, because for most of this, especially keeping it modern, it keeps it right in my wheelhouse. The 85 Bears were right before I was born, so I'm just sort of familiar with them. And almost everybody else that's in this, I didn't have too much exposure to the Montana years, and he'll be represented later on, but I've seen some of this. Oh, Julian Edelman, the first touchdown of the tournament. Brady to Edelman, no big surprise there. 6 minutes, 11 plays, 75 yards. Not a lot of resistance from the Tampa D. They're going to have to get after the slightly younger Tom Brady in this game. But, going back and simming some of the teams from the late 90s and the early 2000s, you remember names because everybody remembers the quarterback on those teams or the starting wide receiver or the best defensive player on those teams. But you forget like the sixth best guy that at the time you thought was, a stud and was going to get paid on his next deal and all that. So it's cool to kind of go back and really relive those depth charts a little bit. Oh, let's see if the Pats defense can do anything here. And you'll see a lot more halfback pass routes versus like screens and such. They will do screens as well, but quick 3-and-out by Tampa, but there's a flag on the punt. You better hope the Pats didn't go offsides. You'll see the running back actually with a lot more. Some running backs that maybe you wouldn't expect to have downfield routes, the game will run them because it doesn't know any better. Penalties on Tampa declined. So 3-and-out for Tampa Bay. They're going to have a lot better showing from defense here than they did on the first drive. Yeah, I don't know if you would have seen the 2016 Patriots running a lot of running back split out as a wide receiver screens to LeGarrette Blount there. But because he happens to be the one in the game, that's what happens. Incomplete. And like I mentioned earlier, like the special teams all kind of tend to be meh, and I think that part of that becomes just from the fact that um, this isn't Madden. These guys don't have Ronald Jones with a huge run. Um, they don't have 35 different statistics to get rated on for the sake of just keeping things a little more simple. I thought he was coming down to the guy on the right side of the field here, the bottom side of the field. Too many men on the field. My God, Tampa, what are you doing? Brady's losing his mind. So when you're making a kick returner, if in order to make a kick returner a 95 or something like that, you're going to have to set the percentage of kicks. Like one of their stats is percentage of kicks run back for a touchdown. Well, you don't want a guy running back 75% of the kicks he touches for a touchdown because that just breaks the game and it's unrealistic. So you set those all very, very low. It results in them having very low overalls and pulling down the overall rating of the special teams. I have seen a kick run back. I've probably watched 10, maybe 15 games. So to get one, that feels about right. That one looked like it should have been picked. Brady on Brady crime here. Dion Lewis going nowhere. So far, it's been that first drive. The Patriots went right down the field, but it's been a little bit of the defensive game that the game expected. And I will say, I've seen for anybody that's just jumping into this and they're like, well, of course it's a defensive struggle. The game said it was going to be. I have seen games with high over-unders. Because, again, you remember that they're setting that based on an average out of 1,000 games. So there are obviously always a bunch of outliers within that, and they're just coming to a median. So just because that's what the spread is or that's what the over-under set doesn't mean that's what you're going to get when you just run one. That's another thing you'll see quite often, and I guess there are circumstances where Tom Brady has had decent scrambles, but you'll see running quarterbacks that should never be running like quarterback draws. Like Eric Blount, up over midfield. Should never be running quarterback draws. So there'll be people that look at that and say it's unrealistic. It's just at some point, the video game is going to be a video game. Downfield, Martellus Bennett. You've got to love. I've been home. For anybody listening to this is getting recorded about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been home all day getting stuff set up to do this and just taking care of other stuff I need to take care of in the morning. And anybody that's joined me on a stream or anything before has seen my cat, particularly Leia, who tends to like to be on camera all of a sudden. I think she knows. Hasn't been around me at all today and has suddenly decided now that I'm speaking, maybe, or whatever it is, somehow knows that I am talking to the world and has found a need to come over and bug me at every turn. So she's not on camera, but she's still trying to make her presence felt in this video. Patriots tack on a field goal. Tom Brady's probably smashing tablets on the Buccaneers sideline right now with too many men penalties, and Ronald Jones up the middle for nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. And then that looks like that's on Tampa. Yes, it is. Ugly start to the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are trying to pull the upset here. And this is not how you pull an upset. Oh, they get to Brady. Shea McClellan. There'd be a lot of Patriots fans that wouldn't remember. Oh, they're going to get to him again. Donta Hightower. But the face mask cures everything for Tampa. Maybe that'll jumpstart them. Nope, another flag. Encroachment now this time on the Patriots, just giving away free yards, which is odd because for team ratings, there's a few team ratings as well, and one of them you can set is a team's ability to avoid penalties as Fournette runs for a first down. You would expect almost any Patriots team has got a pretty high setting on that. Oh, the screen pass, because that looked like absolute death for Tom Brady right there. Yeah, you'll see there, like, Fournette is listed as fullback 1. I imagine that he's listed as a fullback, even though he is not a fullback, because there's almost always a fullback on the field, or there is at least a lot of the time. There's a lot of formations in this that utilize the fullback that you end up using because they have so many plays that do get used, but that new teams have kind of eliminated the fullback role from. So rather than have an actual fullback on the field at all times, put Leonard Fournette out there because he actually is on the field that often for the Bucs. Because at this time in 2020, Ronald Jones would have been the starter. Bucs have not gotten into any rhythm here. 3rd and 12. He's got to get rid of it. Incomplete. Going to Cameron Brate on 3rd and 12 is an interesting choice. I was willing to believe the defensive struggle. I don't know that I would have pegged the fact that Tampa wouldn't have scored after their first, 3 possessions now? Another flag. Movement before, but on who? On the Pats. They don't just say false start for some reason. They say movement before ball or movement before play, whatever they said. So it makes it a little confusing. You kind of have to read through it real quick to figure out what it is. Shaq Mason going down. That might help that Bucs front and be able to get to Brady. Doesn't matter if he's just going to keep drilling Martellus Bennett. I have simmed a couple of these games where the endings have been pretty crazy, and I'm fully expecting we'll get a few of those here as well. I haven't quite decided yet, as my cat decides that the cord to my headset is a toy and tries to rip it off my head. James White with the 22-yard catch. I haven't quite decided. I think we'll probably do one game per episode. We're going to see how long this one goes, how long this one takes, but I think as a way of just sort of making these a little easier to consume for you guys and not taking up huge chunks of your time or day, that we'll probably do a game at a time, which means if we go through this entire tournament, there's going to be a lot of these. Brady with a 9-yard run on 3rd and 9. He might have done that once in his entire career. Not really getting a lot. Well, I won't say that. They've had a few big runs. Up the middle has not been the place for them to go, though, unless it's Brady. Incomplete. Bucs really got to hold them to 3 here. 3rd and 10. Really got to hold them to a field goal unless you can turn them over. They had the screen pass available. Didn't go to it. Caught! Did he get in? No. 1st and goal from the 1, but... And they don't have a back in the back. He shovels it to Blunt. Like Garrett Blunt touchdown. No, they called it a sweep. Didn't look like a sweep. He was definitely lined up as a wide receiver. He ran back into the backfield. Well, I'll tell you what, he's 43 now, so what? 2020 would have been 42, which means 38-year-old Tom Brady is putting a beating on 42-year-old Tom Brady as they just missed the extra point. Way to go. Oh, Mickens through the line. Gets out to almost a 30. Jaden Mickens. I'm a fan of that Tampa team. I don't remember Jaden Mickens at all. Brady was going out to Antonio Brown, who fell down. Teron Harmon. Brady's in trouble. He gets away. Goes deep. Caught Antonio Brown, who runs to the sideline to get out of bounds. 31-yard, easily the biggest play the game for the Bucs, who need some points here in the 2-minute offense before half. Deep again, incomplete. Minute and a half, 2nd and 10. There, see, that's kind of what you'd expect to see out of Brady a little bit. Now, it's hard to do it now. They do have 3 timeouts. Holding on the Pats is going to help. That's 5 yards and a first down. But you'd expect them not to be going deep every play, even though they have that kind of offense. Gronk finally getting involved. We're into the 2-minute offense. We're rushing to the line. They do have the timeouts. Oh, screen pass, and he gets clobbered. Ninkovich blows it up in the backfield. Now they have to call a timeout. 3rd and 7. Brady just gets it off. Deep over the middle. Incomplete. Jamie Collins covering Rob Gronkowski. I don't know how well that would work out in real life. That's not an easy field goal, but he nailed it. Suckup gets the Bucs on the board. You did leave 53 seconds for younger Tom. And the Bucs certainly can't give up a touchdown here. This thing will be over at halftime. Screen pass to Edelman. You think they'd just run to the line, or they might call a timeout. Yep, they're going to go the timeout route. Oh, Brady's in trouble. Trying to get out of bounds. That is one thing the game does, is if they're going to get sacked, it gets to a point, if time is of the essence, that they just run out of bounds and they almost accept the sack, but they just try to stop the clock. No, the Bucs needed that. They could not give up any points there, but certainly if they had gone down and scored a touchdown, this thing would have felt very over. Evans catches it, immediately gets out of bounds. They're at the 35. Up. Evans is injured, but he'll be back later in the game, probably out for the rest of this half at least. Tyler Johnson with the first down, out of bounds. Tampa's still got 2 timeouts, just not a lot of time. You're playing probably for a field goal here unless somebody breaks open. Scotty Miller, first down, out of bounds. Now they're over midfield. If any more points for the Bucs here, you've got to feel like it's a major win. Jones sprints to the sideline to save that timeout, but at this point, you're almost better getting down and just calling it. Only 10 seconds to go. One more play and then a chance to kick the field goal. Looks like they're going for the Hail Mary here. Will they use it? Will they have any time left? If yes, incomplete. That take the whole 10? No, they're going to get one more chance at it. Flag on the play. Movement before the play. Moves Tampa back 5 more yards. Little further for Brady to throw it. I have not seen one of these completed. Oh boy, Brady's in trouble. He gets away. I have not seen one of these completed quite yet. And I still have not. It always looks like they're close. And then it falls to the turf. I don't know if I should acknowledge that or not because I don't know how much of it got picked up on my microphone. But somebody is drilling in my apartment building right now, and it's just a wonderful thing to be happening while I'm recording. There we go. Evans is back in just in time for 2nd and 3. Incomplete. Brady to nobody. But there is a flag. Pat's giving up more free first downs. Tampa Tom has just not felt like he's been on all game. And I do know this 2016 defense was legit for the Pats. Oh boy, Mike Evans breaking away. Gets over midfield and across the 40 to the 39. Makes his presence felt very quickly after getting back on the field. Keyshawn Vaughn fumbles the ball, but Tampa recovers. That would have been a killer. Finally start putting a drive together and just hand it right back. Jones. 3rd and 8. Threw it to the wrong team. Forgot which Brady was. Devin McCourty. But there is a flag. Of course there is. Too many men on Tampa, and they still couldn't get to the right guy. Oh, man. A lot of laundry in this one. So, yeah, I'm thinking, like I say, probably a game per episode here. I don't know, even at the time of recording this, exactly what the schedule is going to be. But 1428 Gaming on Twitter is the best place if you're not already following the channel to... Oh, an interception. Buccaneers take it right back. They got to get points here. Absolutely got to get points here. Screen pass to Ronald Jones. Oh, and he breaks through. Over the 30, 25, 20. They might not catch him. All the way down to the 8. 46 yards to the 8-yard line. Bucks have got to punch this in. Oh, that's not. Oh, it is a screen. Same play. Ronald Jones gets 4 more. Just saw 7 people running at Tom Brady. It was like, oh boy. You guys get one good play drive, apparently. Keyshawn Vaughn gets them a little closer down to the 2, but it's 3rd and goal now. Do you think of going for this if you don't get it here? Leonard Fournette around the corner. Oh, he loses 2. Now I think you got to kick it. They line up. There's a flag on the play. It was 4th and goal, so they can't give him a first down. There was an offsides, so they'll move it to the 2. No, they just declined the penalty. Okay. No sense in accepting the penalty unless you're going to accept the penalty and go for it. So 16-6, still a two-score game. Bucks defense has to step up again. Incomplete. They've shaken Brady here a little bit. Third and 9. So yeah, we've got what? If I could do some quick math in my head, if we were to do every game as its own episode, 6, 24, about 35 games, I believe, is how that works. I believe if I've got that math right quickly in my head. If I don't, it's because I did it quickly in my head. So we've got a lot of content to come from this, assuming there's any interest at all. And I'm excited about it, so we may just run through it anyway, and then I'll just hope that in 12 years, maybe my kids' kids will be on YouTube and they'll be interested in it. Brady was in trouble. He got rid of it, and he got picked off. Shea McClellan is down the sideline to the 20-yard line. My fiance can't understand how I do this. Where I'm not playing the game. But I've told her, I'm like, it's just same idea as when I'd play Madden. Growing up, going all the way back to Madden 2000 on the N64, the first one that ever had franchise mode. I'd play the full. I believe in that one. Oh, I thought they were going to pick that off. I believe in that one you could go 30 years in the franchise. Maybe it was 25. I don't remember exactly, but there was definitely a limit on how many years you could do. James White touchdown. Could be a dagger. And I wouldn't play a game the whole time. I would just handle the management of the team, you know, free agency trades, re-signings, all that stuff, and sim everything all the way along. And I still do that to this day if I go over and hang out with my buddies, because we'll basically turn it into a drinking game. We'll do the exact same thing. Just sim the games, and if we're lucky enough that two of our teams end up in a Super Bowl, we'll watch it like we're watching these. You guys, if you follow the channel at all, have seen me do that with Fire Pro. Mickens, nope. I say he looked like he had some space, but they closed quickly. Where we'll just watch the matches. We don't play any games in that. So Brady in trouble, Brady down. And this will kind of be, for now, this will kind of be the reinvigoration of the channel here. Whether we'll do some other stuff, I don't know. Um, you'll just have to kind of wait and see on that. Depends on a whole bunch of stuff. But I would like to run through this. There's already been a little bit of interest at the time of recording this, enough to get me to record it. And hopefully, once these start popping up on YouTube, there'll be even more, and it'll reinforce my desire already to get this going. I'm starting to wonder. I nothing but thank our friends that created the mods here. Did we undercut the 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers like just a tad? Just a little bit? Oh, they got to Brady. The pass rush is starting to get moving. Devin White in there with a sack. It's not the first time I've seen his name today. Oh, Edelman's gone. They're not going to catch him. And if the last one wasn't, this one is the dagger. Julian Edelman. 74 yards. Touchdown. Pending the extra point. He missed it. So it stays at 29-6. That is 2016 Steven Gostkowski. Gostkowski was a great kicker for a long time, but around this time he started to get a little iffy, especially on extra points. So that's hilarious. That's a problem in this game. So this is probably a point where if I were running this just myself off of here, I'd probably let the computer just go ahead and take the rest of this. But we're not going to do that with these. We're going to play these out and let you guys see every bit of all these games, and we'll have other nonsense to discuss in between, I'm sure. I do like here that we're in the third quarter, but Tampa knows they're far enough behind that we need to start 2-minute offense here. We need to get moving. Need to save all the time they possibly can. And this is what would it be? It'd be the 16-17 matchup. So these teams, based on not necessarily rating, because again, I had nothing to do with the ratings of these teams, but just in terms of where they landed, how they got seeded and where they landed with their respective actual seasons, are supposed to be two of the closest. So did they underestimate the 2020 Buccaneers? Are the 2016 Pats going to be a little more of a wagon than perhaps we might have expected? I mean, if I remember correctly, and I don't have to remember correctly, I can just look, I suppose. Oh, no, I can't. I closed it, didn't I? Well, way we go. Trying to remember the record on that 2016 team. That would have been the Falcons year. "2016 Patriots ended up 14-2. Yeah, okay. They did end up 14-2 that season. So they were kind of a buzzsaw throughout that entire season. And that's the end of the third. We'll take a quick look at stats and things at the end. It's going to, unless this fourth quarter really surprises, it's, the flea flicker to Brady. Down the middle. Edelman. I think we'll be looking a lot at Edelman when we look at those stats. That's another 35. Dude's well over 100 yards. just torching. The secondary for Tampa both years has been the weak point. The D line has absolutely masked the secondary, and even more so this year where they've had all the injuries. But in 2020, still, you had a lot of rookies back there that were still figuring things out and got bailed out a lot of times by the fact that the quarterback can never get the ball downfield. James White goes out for an injury, but he's expected back later in the game. And that'll be one thing here in that this is considered like a playoff, so every injury we've seen here in this game have been, oh, they're out, but they're getting it taken care of and they'll be back in. There certainly can be multiple week injuries that might impact a team. They may win a matchup as we punt it into the end zone. That they win a matchup, but they might lose somebody significant moving forward. And it will apply, to the next week. Oh, he threw another pick. Logan Ryan gets him, but there's a flag on the play. Face mask on the Pats. Bails Brady out on that one. They've got to find the end zone on this drive to have any chance. Oh, he's in trouble. Oh, he got away. Incomplete. Gonna have to see Tampa Tom's completion percentage at the end of this because it feels like he's missing everybody. Everybody. 4th and 10. 3 straight incompletions. And the pass before that was a pick that got saved by a penalty. Patriots, you would think, probably just going to run the ball out here a little bit. Try to take some time off the clock. That would be the smart move. So, of course, we're throwing on 2nd and 9. But when Edelman's having the day that he's having, that's probably as good as running it. It's as much of a sure thing as giving it to Dion Lewis for 1 yard, or no gain. Not even 1 yard. Flag on the play. Delay a game. What are you doing, Tom? Yeah, that's not how you run the clock down. Seems like it should be, but it's not. That won't work. Toss to Garrett Blunt. 3rd and 15. Caught by Malcolm Mitchell. Dude was going to be all right. I don't know if he was ever going to be a star, but Malcolm Mitchell would have been a player for the Patriots if he could have ever stayed healthy. I believe it became a concussions issue with him where he just had a severe number of concussions in his first. I think they may, if I'm not mistaken, they may have even started in college, and it just got worse and worse. Oh, Mike Evans. Worse and worse as he got into the NFL. I remember him specifically. Was it the Atlanta Super Bowl? It was either the Atlanta Super Bowl or the Seattle Super Bowl, and I feel like the Seattle Super Bowl might have been just before his time. But making really big catches. It was Atlanta. It had to be Atlanta on the comeback with Atlanta. A couple of really, really good catches on some great passes from Brady to get them down the field in that game and create, the greatest comeback that there will ever be in Super Bowl history. Unabashedly. Tampa looking for some respectability here to get in the end zone, and that's how that happens. You give it back to Patrick Chung on the 2-yard line. My Lord. Brady, if I'm not mistaken, has got 3 interceptions and should have 4. Absolute domination by the New England defense here. New England, as you'd imagine, if you didn't fumble. Tampa gets it back to the 2. Blunt fumbles it. If you didn't take too much of a peek at the bracket, both these teams have multiple teams on the bracket. Touchdown, Mike Evans. For Tampa, the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers will appear later on. Only other team in franchise history to win Super Bowl. Love that defense. Can't wait to see that team play out. I don't actually think I've watched that squad at all. Excuse me. And the Patriots obviously have multiple different teams that have made it on there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you've got 2016, 2007. I know we're on there. The undefeated team that wasn't. 2004 is definitely on there. 2001 is definitely on there, and there might even be another. I don't think so. I think I try to keep it there. Anything more than that felt like too many. Um, there's definitely more than that in the top 100, but I think that's as many as I pulled in. Martellus Bennett down the sideline and more. Any chance for the Buccaneers whatsoever would require probably a turnover here in the next couple of plays that they could turn into quick points. Just running the clock out. Tampa's not taking timeouts. Could have thought about taking one there, to be honest. Might as well use them. But they're down 14. Makes the tackle. Should use one here now, but they'll probably let it go to the 2-minute. Nope. Yep. Timeout. Let them punt. Hope for a big play. You're going to have to go for 2 on both touchdowns if you were able to pull off any sort of a miracle. Not a great punt, but it's better than a touchback probably. Handing the ball off to Ronald Jones is interesting, but he does get out of bounds. 8 yards and out of bounds, not a terrible drive starter, but you really don't need drive starters almost even because you've only got 2 minutes and you're so far away from the end zone. Mike Evans probably try to get to the line, but I don't think they'll have time. Should be a 2-minute warning. Time expired. Yes, they got a 2-minute warning. Takes a second to get there. Clock doesn't update right away. First downs are even. I can see that. Doesn't feel like they should be, but Pats have hit enough big plays. Ronald Jones gets out of bounds, gets a first down. So they're making plays and they're driving. You know the clock is against them at this point. Rob Gronkowski was a catch and out of bounds. Where was this? Literally all game. Cameron Brate for 4. Another quick pass from Brady. That one's incomplete. I'd love to see him score here and just and tighten it up a little bit. Flag on the play. Encroachment on the Patriots. Makes it 3rd and 6 into a 3rd and 1. Third and 1, so of course Brady wants everything. Godwin, first down out of bounds. All right, it's time to start chucking this thing in the end zone, though, with only a minute and a half to go. Time to look for the touchdown. Picked off by Devin McCourty. My Lord. That'll just about put a bow on it. I mean, Tampa has timeouts, and I'm sure they'll call them here. So they'll need a first down in order to run it out entirely. But by all accounts, the defense has absolutely slammed the door here of a game that honestly felt over about halfway through the 3rd quarter. That's the last time out. We'll run 40 seconds off the clock here and then punt unless LeGarrette Blount can go for 13. Tampa will get a chance with about 25 seconds left. And I hate to say it, but you're not scoring twice in 25 seconds. Caught by Godwin. But they have to rush to the line with no timeouts remaining. They'll probably get off one more play. 6 seconds. You got to chuck it to the end zone. Throws it deep and incomplete. That oughta do it. And it does. Strong effort. New England whipped Tampa Bay, they say. Achievements, just sort of kind of the high points of stats. They said Brady on both sides had a pretty good game, but if we dive into it any closer, both teams fumbled once, and Tampa actually didn't lose theirs. New England 441 to 359 in total offense. So if you just snapshotted this, neither team had a particularly good rushing day, but the Pats did accumulate more rushing yards. But if you take a look, we come over to the New England side, completing 63% of the passes, did have the interception, did get sacked a couple of times, but put 2 in the end zone. LeGarrette Blount added a touchdown. James White, I believe, might have caught one of those 2 touchdowns. No, he didn't. Julian Edelman had 2, 6 for 153. Martellus Bennett kind of got the game started with a couple of big catches, and then Julian just took that thing over. And then I don't usually look at defense, but you got to kind of come in here and look. 2 picks for McCourty, Chung, Shea McClellan even got one. Compare that, so almost a 64 completion percentage to a 54 completion percentage. 50 attempts, 4 picks. Just a rotten performance from Tampa Tom. Mike Evans got the 1 touchdown. 2 sacks for Devin White. Sean Murphy Bunting kind of ran into an interception there. But this thing was over pretty early in the third quarter. Once New England got to 29, they kind of coasted from that point on, and the defense just refused to leave any daylight. So if we go back and take a quick look, your first team to advance, the 2016 New England Patriots, they'll take on either the 2011 New York Giants, which would be fitting, as obviously the Giants took on the Patriots in the Super Bowl that year. Even though it's a different Patriots team, it would still be fitting. Everybody kind of knows that, the story of that. That was the Mario Manningham catch that broke all our hearts in New England. But if you don't remember, also would be a little fitting if they had to play the 85 Bears. Because if you think the Super Bowl to the Giants was bad, which it was because it was close and it was heartbreaking, we didn't even get to have heartbreaking in 85. Nobody remembers that the Patriots were in that Super Bowl, but they were, and they got absolutely trounced by the 85 Bears, as did basically everybody who played the 85 Bears that year. That's why everybody knows them as the 85 Bears. So, we'll see whether or not New York can pull the upset in that one. We've got a bunch of other matchups you can see here, and like I said, take a look at 1428 Gaming on Twitter. You can see this bracket. Take a look, make predictions, let me know where you think team should have moved up, down, what have you in the seeding. All that good stuff. Interact with the whole thing there, as well as obviously in the comments here. I try to reply to all you guys anytime I see if there's any comments on a video or anything. So, till next time, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you for the next game. Take it easy, guys. And there's no objection.